Hello and welcome to Rubbin Minds. I am your guest host, Hero Daniels. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon and it's been quite an interesting week. We're still awaiting the results, the final results of the Anambra state elections. And I've got some good news. The police confirmed that 16 victims of the Uni Abuja abduction has been released. And so we're very happy to hear that. And I can only imagine what they have gone through. Yeah, I think we should really try as much as possible to see what we can do about the security situation in the country. Today we'll be talking about cyberbullying. I remember one of my biggest fears was going back to a boarding house in my secondary school because of Senior Aban. So Senior Aban was the school bully. He would take my provisions, verbally abuse me, and make me sing Celine Dion songs to him while he was eating my golden morn and cabin biscuits. So if you ever wondered why I have such a great singing voice, it's all thanks to Senior Aban. With the advent of the internet and social media, you're just one click away from being a cyber bully. It's so easy. All you just need is a phone and some cheap data. With me in the studio to discuss cyberbullying is a media personality, an entrepreneur extraordinaire, Tolani Badge. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, also joining me from Abuja is Hawa. Okay, we're going to hold on. We're going to hold on to that. We'll connect with Hawa later. So, Tolani, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so let's get straight into it.
Okay.
At what point would one say another person is being bullied on the internet?
I would say at a point where your mental health is being tampered with, a point where you feel like maybe your self-esteem is kind of shaky. I did have an experience growing up, though, in America. I feel like in America, it was a case of me being too Nigerian for Americans. And then when I moved back to Nigeria, I started primary school, secondary school, I was too American for Nigerians. So
you couldn't quite fit in?
I couldn't fit in. Even to now, I don't even try to fit in anymore. But it was more so the accent. So I moved back to Nigeria from America, and then it's like, oh, why are you talking like that? You're forming. So I would always hate when teachers would ask me questions in class. I'll keep quiet, nothing. I wouldn't even want to make friends because in my mind I'm like, okay, this one will probably say I'm forming, whatnot. And then after Big Brother as well, we all have to deal with online bullying, the trolls, whatnot. But then I've just decided to block the noise. I block a lot of people because I feel like my mental health comes first. I'm a happy person. I don't tolerate disrespect. If I feel like you're talking to me in a disrespectful manner, I'll speak to you about it like, no, that's not polite. So yeah, blocking is very essential though for
Okay. Okay, so I think we need to also make certain things very clear. So we live in a generation where savage is the new cool, in the sense that, you can sort of make witty comments about a certain issue. So at what point do you think one should draw the line between being savage, quote and unquote, for fun, or being funny for fun, and being an actual bully? Because sometimes, the fans, people disguised with, I just did catch cruise. They'll tell you, oh, I'm just catching cruise. So what is that fine thin line between making jokes and being an actual bully?
Disrespect, I think that's where you have to draw the line. Personally, boundaries is also very important as well. I like to set the tone and I like to set boundaries as well. Because, when see finish enters the matter, people tend to say, okay, this one, if I say this rude comment, this person will just, assume that I'm catching cruise. But setting the tone with boundaries is very, very important. So always speak up and say, guy, I don't like that comment. Or girl, no, I don't tolerate that. This is not how I roll. So communication is very essential as well. So, and then if you don't now know the person, if the person is a true, you block them because in honest and truly, these people don't know you and you don't know them. So.
Okay, so let's talk about your mental health
Okay.
and the mental health of a lot of people that have experienced bullying.
Okay.
It's so easy to say, yes, we have a tough skin. It's so easy to say that we've gotten used to certain things, but I'm pretty sure that at least the first few moments you experience bullying in any form, be it online, be it physical, it sort of takes you on a journey mentally. I don't know if you can help us describe that mental journey for you.
Honestly, I do have a tough skin. Growing up and being bullied just molded me to the person that I am today. I will say that I'm pretty confident. So with bullying, but in the house I did have anxiety though. I suffer from anxiety and it's not something that I spoke about, which I probably should have immediately I got out of the house. So people tend to say, oh, you're very different in the house, whatnot, you're different now, this, that. And I'm like, guy, anxiety was happening to me. I just felt like, people would misjudge me or, perceive me in the wrong way. So I just said, let me just deal with myself. So yeah, anxiety, no. But now I'm dealing with it. I have a therapist. I'm on some meds as well. So yeah, anxiety is
Let me
good.
get this straight.
Yeah,
You see a therapist now,
yeah.
and you're also on.
Some anxiety medication as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
and that is as a result of the bullying at some
Just
point. And
mental health, improving my mental health. Yeah, I wouldn't say bullying, but it's more so improving my mental health. Yeah, because this is not a topic that people talk about publicly.
yeah.
So I don't see anything wrong with people having a little bit of mental cases right there. So if you notice that you have some mental issues, you just deal with it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to connect with Hawa now. Hawa is a mental health advocate
Okay.
and executive.
Hawa.
Hello, Hawa. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so you are a mental health expert. Can you tell us the effect of bullying on, people's mental health?
Oh, yes, I believe that this is such a very important topic. Bullying, as we have known it traditionally, has happened maybe within school systems physically, so in-person kind of interactions. But as we moved more and more into a digital world, we have seen that cyberbullying has become the thing. So it's not so much that it's new, it's that what happened offline now happens online. And so just the same way people would get upset, it affects their self-esteem. It causes, that fight or flight mode, that sense of anxiety, intense anxiety. We're seeing it online as well. So whether you like it or not, whether you create all of the boundaries and whether, you feel like you're so mentally grounded, the thing about cyberbullying is that if it is directed at you, and sometimes maybe not directed particularly at you, and it just happens within your cyber environment, it has an effect on you. It makes you feel anxious. It makes you feel worried. Because the thing about cyberbullying is that, it involves a lot of embarrassment and a lot of shame. In fact, it feeds off shame. It's how can you make somebody feel small and embarrassed in a large group of people where they begin to look at not that they did something wrong, but they are something wrong. And so that is something that's particularly important. I think a lot of people are going through severe social anxiety because of experiences with regards to cyberbullying and offline bullying as well, but also what they experience as what we may call like ratio or clapback and things like that. And people are trying to, everybody's looking for an outlet for their problems, but in doing that, they are inflicting problems on other people in order to feel good about themselves. And so it's not so much about just the person who is the target, it's really about even the bully themselves as well.
Okay, so you made a statement that sometimes even when the bullying is not directed at you as an individual, if it's directed at someone else, the fact that it's in your social space, it means that it can also have a level of mental impact on you. So in a situation whereby somebody sees that his timeline or her timeline on social media has a lot of toxicity, what should one do? Okay.
So I lost the first part of your questions, but I'll just answer. I believe your question was really what can one do with a lot of toxicity that's happening online
On
the
social
internet,
media, even
and in
if the bullying is
cyberspace,
not
really.
directed at you.
True, true. I would say first off, we need to realize that we don't have as much power as we think that we have over our cyber environment. Everybody feels like, oh, you know what? I curate my timeline, which is a fantastic strategy. I follow the kinds of people that, make me feel good and all of that, which is fantastic. But I need you to realize that the way social media platforms and all of the digital spaces in particular have been created is that, behavioral scientists have sat down for years with grounded research-backed data, and they've created these platforms in a way that regardless of how much you think they are small, they can have an effect on you. So whatever it is that you need to do, you need to ensure that it is more preventative than reactive, because the moment it already starts to seep in, the moment you start to give your digital, cyber, social spaces any sort of power, that power comes back even in the form of cyberbullying. So yes, I would say you need to begin to curate your cyber environment. You can't just say it doesn't get to me, so I'll just block and all of that, which are fantastic strategies, because for some people, how much can you do, especially when you're in the public, you're a public figure, and a lot of people follow you and things like that.
Yeah.
You really need to be very intentional about curating your timeline. The people, the topics, the words that get to you, you need to learn to mute, you need to learn to unfollow, you need to learn to block. Those are very healthy things to do. But you also need to realize that your usage of social media does something to your brain chemicals as well. It's like, some studies liken it to how, people who use substances get that sense of high and
Yeah.
shock
Social
from
media
using
addiction.
drugs. The likes, the follows, it gives you something. And the moment there is a threat to your likes, your followership, and all of that, it's like something just, it goes straight to your core. Like, instead of it being just about your social media platform, it's about you, because you have equated yourself to the image that you have portrayed. And so the moment you relinquish that power that should be inside yourself, people can take advantage of that power. In fact, people don't need to know they're doing it,
Yeah.
but they will do it. So yes, it's all about intentionality. For some people, it is cutting down their social media usage. It's about
Yeah.
realizing that, you know what, I cannot spend more than 2 to 4 hours on social media every day. I need to realize the effect it has on me. And that doesn't mean that I am weak or I'm not somebody who is strong mentally or anything. It just means that you're a human being. And social media platforms have hacked the science of your brain, and they know
Okay.
how to use it. They know how to
So
make it important to you.
very, very true. We're going to talk about what the social media companies are doing to regulate bullying. So, but first, I need to talk to Tolani, because Howard made a point and said, sometimes when you're so engrossed with the celebrity life, the likes, the comments, it sort of engulfs you and draws you in. Now, as a celebrity, how would you say, okay, I think I need to rephrase this question. For example, if you do something or something happens that is out of your control, and let's say that the society has deemed that particular act as not satisfactory, yeah? And then people start coming at you. At that point in time,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what you did was right or what you did was wrong, but like I said, the society perceived it wrongly. So at that point in time when people are coming at you, how does one handle it? Because very recently we've seen a lot of celebrities,
Get dragged on social media.
get dragged on social
Yes.
media.
Okay, so from my own perspective, let's talk about early this year when, the reunion happened and I was getting drags left and right. It was overwhelming, I would say. And normally I just block, but it was a lot. So what I decided to do was take a break from social media, which, sometimes I do want to take like a week, 2 weeks break off social media, but I can't because social media is my job. So during that time where I was getting heat from everybody, I went on a break, 2-3 weeks, not 2-3 days break. I would check comments here and there. If I say, okay, the heat is still there, go off again, whatnot. But I would read some comments and just think like, damn, this is tough, But at the end of the day, we're still human beings as well. I think people tend to forget that because we're in the public eye, so we get crucified a lot. But yeah, breaks are very necessary. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make.
Okay.
Yes.
And like I said, there's always a very thin line between what is right and what is wrong.
Right.
Some people might argue that maybe there are certain actions of celebrities that warrants people's reaction, and when they get that reaction, it should be justified. Now let me make certain things clear.
Yeah.
So while during the reunion particularly, the content that you served on that platform, for some people on the other side, because with Big Brother there's always a divide.
Of
So
course.
some people would argue that you're being dragged because of you dragged certain people on the show. So in a situation like that,
Yeah.
where people are justifying bullying you just because of they perceive
Please.
that for some reason, you had issues or altercations with another person. So I'm just using you as an example, but there are several examples. So in such a situation, how do we sensitize people to, let them know that you're first a human being before an idol that they expect to be perfect?
So first of all, I think as a celebrity, it comes with the territory being dragged. So with the hate still comes the love. And you know what they say, if people don't talk about you, then you're nobody, really. So I do know that a lot of entertainers do things intentionally to get dragged. just to be in blogs and whatnot. If you're getting dragged, you're still going to get business deals, whatnot. So the trolls, what they have to say, the content doesn't really matter because it's not affecting your bag. So how did I forget your question?
No,
I was
all
deriving somewhere.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is
Yeah.
how can we demystify celebrities so that people can start cutting them some slack? Because
Yeah.
let's take for example the Tiwa Savage video.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love Tiwa.
So Tiwa, it was
Yeah.
an honest mistake. It wasn't something that she expected to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
But societally and culturally, some people perceive it as not ideal. But they forget that Tiwa is a human being that makes mistakes.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, how can we tell people, or how can we demystify that high standard that the fans or the
Yeah.
people set for people for public figures?
Honestly speaking, I feel like there's a lot of hypocrisy in the world, in Nigeria most especially. How she got crucified, it was an honest mistake, but I felt like people just wanted to leverage on that and have something to say. So with that being said, honestly, we're just human beings. We're going to make mistakes and we're still going to continue our life. That's what's going to happen. So people can say what they have to say and then guess what? The next day, moved on. So, and I love Tiwa, by the way. I love you.
We all do. We all do.
Yes.
Hawa, what do you think social media companies are doing to regulate cyberbullying?
So we're seeing more companies. I mean, last year we saw Twitter step on a couple of toes. Last year, the year before, we saw it in the U.S. with how they clamped down on the president then, Donald Trump. We saw it and how it caused an uproar with Nigeria as well, with President Muhammadu Buhari as well. But I think that those are even larger figures that are able to do things that happen on a larger scale. There are policies, yes, but I believe that one of the challenges that stands between the users and the service providers, which are the social media platforms, is perspective. What can be qualified as maybe targeted harassment? What can be qualified as bullying? Is it subjective from person to person? Because if you qualify, and for example, the Nigerian Cyber Crimes Act also makes mention of a couple of things. But if you mention, something causes embarrassment, what is embarrassment, in that context to me versus somebody else? And at what point do we have a universal standard that says that when you cross this particular line, then, that is qualified as cyberbullying or something like that? I actually think that the conversation is much deeper than that. I believe that no matter how much you regulate, it's not so much about, all of these big things. And I say this from the mental health perspective. It comes down to the so-called little things. It comes down to intolerance. It comes down to the fact that as a people, and I want to speak particularly about the Nigerian context, and let me just use Twitter, Nigerian Twitter, for example. It is this idea, and I'm not saying it's a Nigerian Twitter thing in that sense, but I'm saying it's something I've observed on Nigerian Twitter, is the fact that we feel like, my reality must be the reality of everyone else. If these are my values, then it is on these values that I will use to judge every single person. And so we measure everybody on the basis of our individual values, and so that reduces our ability to be tolerant of one another or to accommodate each other. And we see that happen. So cyberbullying is just one avenue through which it happens. It's not the whole thing, really. It's just one thing. And so it's less about, are they going to create the standards? But it's more about how can we begin to understand why people even bully in the first place? What is it that makes it so uncomfortable for them to sit in that discomfort in order for them to actually, respond to somebody else from a place of kindness?
Thank you very much, Hawa. I really wish we could, exhaust this, but it's a very, very long topic. But thank you so much for joining me today. And Tolani, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I'm not going to stand on a high horse. I think at some point I made a joke at a particular celebrity. It was just a really honest joke. But later on, I had some reactions online. I had to apologize simply because I understood that the other person did not feel good, and I had to apologize. So let's all be human. Rubbin Minds continues after this break.
Hello? Are you sure you saw her by the white car? Hey, I'm there. I can't see her now. I can't see anybody here. I'm busy. My eye there is doing. Kiekie. I'll go find her.
Yeah, Kiekie. I'm going to go. I'm going to go.
Say you think when you are wind, we cannot see you, we cannot hold you, Kiekie. There was a cut. Where's my money?
Just.
Where's my money,
Kiekie?
Kiekie?
To your house, so I want to come and tell you, I already have the money. In fact, I have more than the money.
Yeah, yes. Bring it now.
You know, and we know that two both of us, we are best of friends. You know, two of us were in bed, we flock under one feather. So that's why I say, let me come and share with you my invite a friend link. Yes.
Invite a friend.
Exactly.
Waiting be that.
So invite a friend link is from OctaFX. So once I just send you that link like this, you just go and download the app. Wait till once you download the app, hello Charles, you will just open at least one order. When you open one order and you begin to trade, I'll start making commission. And guess what? Immediately you begin to trade.
That was truly hilarious. If you just watched that video, now you know what to do with your internet data. I mean, aside from business, just use it properly. Don't bully people, you know. Just use it and watch Kiki's video and feel good. Ladies and gentlemen, I have media personality. I don't know if I should call you a comedian. I think you're just everything.
Just say a content creator.
Content creator.
Yeah, so in the middle of that content, there is skit making, there is the
fashion,
bands, there's the fashion, and all of that stuff. So yeah. No, I'm a gentle girl.
I know.
Easy going lady. Yeah.
So at what point did you say, you know what, I'm going to go towards this comic direction? Because I've known you for the longest time as a television host. I particularly love your fashion shock show.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, because you just literally make it hilarious. So at what point did you say, you know what, I think I'm going to just start ranting on the internet, and then it evolves to making proper comedy videos?
Yeah, it started with the lockdown. The Kiekie band started at the lockdown. So I am naturally an extremely active person. I'm unable to just sit down and look and do nothing. You get me now. So during the lockdown, I had a lot of time to myself just to be at home and hope for a better tomorrow. So I decided, how about I start documenting everything that happens every day? So it's from the process of documenting, and let me tell you one secret. I actually entertain me too. So I just don't entertain the world. There are a lot of things I do in my house in front of my mirror. If my mirror could talk, it's going to tell everybody that this girl has a lot going on. So it started from that point. And then after everybody got out of the lockdown, we went back to our normal schedule. It's now time to do more, literally.
Yeah.
And I think as a creative, for me, I'm always thinking how to do more. I just always constantly want to give more. Then luckily, a lot of people were able to see from the bands that it's like, this guy is not really
normal.
I saw you guys. So I started getting a lot of invites for features in different skits with different comedians from different angles, and then I loved it. It was so fun to do, So now you see the Kiekie band. Sometimes I feel like it's a lot of excitement that I have to compress into just talking and talking.
Yeah.
So okay, you know what? I will still give you the Kiekie band too, but sometimes how about making it into a skit and elaborate it and bring the idea to life in a more hilarious way. I mean, at times life is not tie. So you can't suffocate yourself.
You cannot.
Do great, so, and then that was how that started.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
People always assume that comedians are always happy. Comedians never have a bad time. Comedians never have a downtime. So who makes the comedian laugh when they actually need that laugh?
Yeah, the people that love them. The people that are close to them. So everybody that knows me know that I do not joke with my family. My parents are watching, my siblings are watching, of course my husband. So I don't joke
with family.
Support system.
Yes, I don't joke with genuine like friendship. I don't joke with it, and that's because when the chips are down, those are the people that are there for you. In case you want to slide now and you want to fall, don't get go, because even that sliding door you're looking at, one day it's gonna derail. Not call the person that will repair it. So who is going to fix you when you don't feel great?
Yeah.
Family. So in my own case, it's family. However, comedians are actually very, very expressive. People just don't pay enough attention.
Yeah.
See that skits, one story here, one story there. They're telling you what's going on in their life at the moment. Generally, storytelling goes that route sometimes. So it's not like we're always excited or I'm in the same situation as you, in the same country as you, probably experiencing different limitations and all of that stuff. But you have a family system that you're able to go back to. For me, my parents are amazing, my siblings are amazing, my partner is great. So that just makes it work for me.
So it's so easy for people to watch you and say, you know what, I want to be like Kiekie, but they don't know the story behind Kiekie. They don't know the hard work. They don't know the depth. They don't know the consistency. So can you just sort of take us through the journey of what it takes to constantly churn out content? Sometimes you upload as many as 5 content per week, which is a lot. People just think you just get a camera and then voila, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So if you can just help us describe that journey so that for the young content creators, they can also see that it's not an easy work.
Okay, so for me, generally in life, you have to be working within your comfort zone. Now, this is not to say that, everything you're doing is going to be convenient or easy. It means that the talent or the skill in that space is well assumed for you. So now, when I watch my videos, I said earlier when I said I entertain myself.
Yeah.
When I watch my videos, it makes me laugh. It gives me excitement. So there's a level of excitement in what I do. There's a level of happy in what I do. I love that happy. I want that happy every day. And as God will have it, the happy is bringing in the cash. Do get now.
You're cashing out.
So more cash out. So when it's cash out, I get motivated to do more. But honestly, when you do something and it makes you feel good, I think there's that thing that God created with us, that when you just do the right thing, there's this joy that comes with it. So that joy for me is the number one motivation. And then the desire to want to be better than yesterday and the ability to be able to shut out the noise. I don't want to be the best person in the room. I want the best me to be in the room. That is what is important for me. And that is the drive. So sometimes, even when I feel like I'm losing track or I'm getting distracted, I sit down by myself. I spend hours on my own page, 4 hours, 5 hours watching my previous videos. And like I shared earlier on a different interview, I started content creation in 2013. This is 2021. It's safe to say that I had like the major peak last year.
Yeah.
So it took me 7 years.
7 good years.
7 years of working on different TV programs that didn't work out. And I did not say I'm not doing it again.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So you just have to keep doing and doing and doing and wait until that moment it feels like it happened overnight. But you're the one that will know that it didn't happen overnight. Even night gone, it's a period of 6 to 8 hours. So nothing used to happen just
overnight.
in the switch. Yeah, literally. So that's just the whole thing.
That's profound. There's no such thing as an overnight success.
No, there's no such thing as that.
Okay, that being said, with fame comes a lot of responsibility. People see you as a role model. Has that affected your personal life in terms of the pressure that comes from fans? And I mean, there are certain things that you could probably do before you can no longer do now because you are now in the public eye. So how are you able to balance your celebrity status with your, personal life?
You see, the one that do pay me the most is that I can't go to the market. And as a fashion designer now, I want to go to a market, can purchase fabrics that I want to work with. But now I can't do that. The last time I went to Yaba, I wore face cap. It was me and my manager. I wore sunglasses. I wore nose mask from the car park. Hi, Kiekie. I say, hello, dear.
Monitoring spirits everywhere.
And also because I'm very vocal online, so people actually know my voice. So after all that cover, once I talk, it becomes the end of it. So I think that's about the only thing that I can say comes with all of this that gives me a little bit of shift. But outside of that, what you see on the gram is what you see on the off-gram, darling. Same, money. There's no negative, there's no positive. Same, the same copy of human being that you see online and offline. And I made it so because no pressure. I always ask people, when you go on my page, the only thing you see there is happy. No lifestyle pressure, no societal pressure. I do things how I want it, how I believe it should be. And I give that to my parents. I was raised with a very high level of content. So I'm not really trying to prove anything to anybody. And the way my person works, the way my talent works, she's not, oh my God, Kiki's vibe, Kiki's mood, Kiki's energy. My depth comes from a place of genuine happiness. If I'm not happy, I can't function. So as a result, I keep my mind as open as possible. So it allows my life go through this normal flow. So when life, of course, no life is nobody's mate.
Yeah.
When life come and behave like life, and of course with Christ, it just give you shoulder. Well, hello dear, you met me at home. So pretty much, I'm not chasing anything. I'm going to these events, this earring, this shoe. It's my earring there. I wear it again next week. Do your works.
Exactly.
It's my shoe there. I wear it again next week. So, putting yourself under unnecessary pressure. On the gram, it has its own side effects off the internet. So I have videos online without makeup, with my natural hair on.
True.
So you can't see me in real life with all back and it will shock you. Kole shock you back on. Because one way or the other, I'm already on the Instagram with or without all of this glam.
That's totally amazing.
Yeah.
Also, because of your public figure, I mean, there are certain things that you might do that might not necessarily go down well with the people. And that doesn't mean that you had bad intentions. Take, for example, very recently, some content creators went to visit the vice president. And there was a lot of social media reactions to that. Tauma came forward and said that she had the best intentions and she was just misunderstood, but people were still clamping down on her. So being someone in that space, what do you make of the whole situation?
So genuinely, like the likes of Aisha and Mr. Macaroni had earlier on said, there is no one way to any market. There are different routes to go to the market. Anybody can have any conversation or have any discussion to give us a better result. But I think the only challenge I had with the situation was it was done under the umbrella of my industry, which is the skit making industry, which I'm still very much young at anyways. And it felt like that small sector of the bigger picture of the youth represented the youth. So if the sector didn't have the direct, should I say, they necessarily don't have what it takes to do that representation. So if you had gone as individuals to have conversations around the set topic, skit makers, or around whatever, it would be fine. But also because this is a very sensitive issue, this has costed people their lives, costed people memories, costed people everything that some have they've not even shared. So a lot of people felt triggered because they felt, you are not in my shoes. How then can you speak for me? At the same time, they also have their own realities. They also have ways in which they would rather the government do better and act better. So if it were to be personal, I'm a Nigerian, I have a problem with XYZ, and I met with the vice president and I talked about XYZ. I think that would have been more acceptable than, oh, I was with the vice president and I talked about all your problem. You don't know all my problem. So that was where the problem is. But do I have a problem with the meeting in general? No, I don't. However, it was a case of doing the right thing at the wrong time.
At the wrong time.
Yeah, that was it.
And also, I think it sort of exposes the level of mistrusts and distrusts the young people have, about our government officials. Because now, let's say, for example, I even want to have an interview with a public figure, and once you take a picture and you post it online, people don't even want to know the contents. They don't even know what they don't want to know what you discussed. They start clamping down on you.
Do you know that a better approach could have been, guys, we're meeting with the vice president today. If you have any questions or if there's something you'd like for me to say when I get there, drop it. That way people will feel carried along.
Yeah.
Also, and people are not reacting because of what just happened. They are reacting from the aspect of a trend. It has happened before. It has happened before. It has happened before. So something that has happened more than 10 times in our eyes, it's very difficult for it to happen with you and you convince us that it is different.
Okay, so now how do you think, because also, I mean, it's a live show and the government is watching this,
Yeah.
I can assure you.
Okay.
So how do you think the government officials can fix this great gap of communication? Because whether we like it or not, if a man and a woman, they're quarreling as much as possible, if both of them say, you know what, we can't see eye to eye, we're not interested in whatever you have to say, there can't be any resolution of any sort. So how do you think the government can, from a youth perspective, speaking as a youth, bridge that great communication gap between the Nigerian people and the Nigerian government?
Okay, so as a graduate of mass communication, I'll just tell you that on the flat line, communication is effective when there's a feedback. Without a feedback, there's no communication. And communication is complete when there's a response for that feedback. 3 legs: communicate, feedback, response. The government needs to respond. We've been saying so many things, and it seems like nobody's responding. And why there's a huge gap. So we are talking, and there's no feedback. So look at what happened at the memorial. Live on TV, we are seeing people being beaten up, people being malhandled. Like, so there was someone that was in an interview, and it was literally jacked off from the interview. Nobody has said anything about it. There was no apology to that effect. Nothing. So even if you feel that, sometimes you might believe you are doing the right thing, just in case you're not doing the right thing, how about a realization of, I know you think you are right, but this is not right. This is what is supposed to be. Then I can think and reevaluate. We are not all stupid. Even if we are not as old as most of them are. So let's say that, Yoruba will say that a child may have more newer clothes than an elderly person, but cannot have the clothes as old as an elderly person. So even if we are not as experienced as you are, but we are not stupid. You have trained us to the best schools in the world. We have the best qualifications. So if it will be nice if we can be guided. But if we are now being inquisitive and curious and want to learn and unlearn a lot of things, but you're shutting the door against us, then how do we go from there? So that's why there's such a huge gap, because they're not giving us feedback. They're not giving us response. They're just looking at us to be talking. I know when you talk, and nothing is happening. What do you think is going to happen next?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate.
It's a pleasure.
Keep doing you. Keep being you. We love Kiekie.
Oh, don't take me. Thank God.
All right. Rubbin Mind continues after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Rubbin Mind. We've been having such an amazing show. We started off talking about cyberbullying, and then we had an entertainment interview with a content creator, Kiekie. Kiekie is actually a media personality. She hosts TV shows. She does comedy skits. So she has a lot of things going on for her, and that is typically Nigerian. Every Nigerian these days have like a side hustle. You would agree with me that we live in a nation where we have a lot of people doing the 9-to-5 jobs, and sometimes those jobs cannot necessarily give them all they want in terms of remuneration, so they have to sort of start something else. But on the flip side, you now see that certain companies are losing quality time from their workers just simply because of those workers are now doing side hustles. According to Forbes, a Forbes article, 4.5 hours per week, 4.5 hours per week are being stolen from the employer's time by employees. So how do we sort of have a middle ground here? For people that own companies, how is it possible for your employees to dedicate their time to the job? And for employees, how can you dedicate your time to your 9-to-5 job and still have time for side hustle? Joining me in the studio today is the co-founder of Ingressive for Good, Blessing Abeng. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, so let's kick things off. Tell me more about Ingressive for Good. What do you guys do?
Great. So Ingressive for Good is an edtech nonprofit where we're super focused on increasing the earning power of African youth by empowering them with tech skills, community, and resources that they need to grow.
Okay.
That's simple.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
So, how do you think one can balance having a 9 to 5 and having a side hustle without any of them suffering?
Okay, great. I mean, I really love that you quoted the Forbes article, and I'm just a bit worried that Forbes didn't really think about Africans at the time that they were doing the survey. In a survey that Henley School did for Africans, it was said that about 27% or almost 30% of people are very comfortable having side hustles, either with their businesses. I mean, employers also have side hustles, or with their employment. And yes, it's somehow, if you think about it holistically, but if you look a little deeper, there's poverty in the land, right? And there are people who, so another research actually showed that the younger people are doing it for money, but the older people are doing side hustles to pursue their passion because they feel like they don't have enough time. So understanding the motivation just helps you understand why people are even doing it in the first place. So the question becomes, what can employers do to ensure that their work doesn't suffer while the employees are doing what they're doing? And there are many contracts that let you know that if you're doing a side hustle between the time of the office, it's now the company's idea and no longer yours. So when people are aware about that, I think it gives them better perspective on how to sort of go about their side hustles. But weekends, 6 to 6 a.m. is enough time for someone to actually do something else. I mean, we only need 6 hours of sleep or 8 hours.
Okay, that's great. Now, sometimes you see that employers would say, while you are in my space, you are not allowed to use my
Resources to,
resources to pursue your side hustle, you know. And most often than not, you see that the employees sometimes even go against that and find a way around the system. I mean, in such situations, what should the employer and what should the employee also do?
Perfect. So I think also working with Ingressive for Good, one of the great things that we know is that 9 to 5 is just the time. But KPIs are what is important. If you tell people, these are the KPIs and these are what you're accountable for. If you want to do that in one day and achieve everything, great. If you want to achieve everything within the week, great. And adopting that culture can work for certain sectors. But for sectors where it can't work, is now a thing of integrity. People need better work ethic. And you always have to put yourself in people's shoes. So again, side hustles are sometimes just a leveling ground to say, I need more money. I need to make passive income. I need something extra to keep me going because the company is not paying me well enough, or I'm trying to live a certain lifestyle. So I think people should step back first and think about, what is my reason for engaging in this side hustle in the first place? Is it more money? Can my company pay me more money? Is it a passion thing? Can I go apply at a company that actually feels that passion? Am I just testing the waters for entrepreneurship and trying to also be safe? Is it something you're comfortable having, a conversation you're comfortable having with your superior? Is there a middle ground? Is your employer open enough to want to have conversations with you about how you can leverage your skills? I mean, one good example, there's a place I used to work. We had a couple of people who were influencers who also worked at the agency. And as opposed to shutting them down and saying, oh, you can't do influencing gigs anymore and take pictures and post on your Instagram, on company time, we found, how can we leverage these people and encourage them so that they feel like we have their best interest at heart, while also, you know, fueling their passion. So if employers can find that middle ground where it's beneficial for them and beneficial for the employer, that's great. If it's also like a middle ground between, this is this person's goals and mission, this is this other person's goals and mission, that's also great. But I think we need to have accountability, great work ethic, and just have that conversation way ahead so that everybody is clear on what the expectations are. Yeah.
That's fantastic. During the COVID lockdown, a lot of people lost
their jobs.
Yeah. And at that point in time, they just had to do something. They just had to start something. Some people in that particular situation, just post-COVID, they got another job, but they were already doing another job. And then there's this sort of conflict as to where to assign more time to, you know, in situations like that, for people in those shoes, what would you tell them?
So again, it's really about retrospection, like thinking back, is this really affecting the thing that I signed up for? Like, did I sign a document to say I was going to hit XYZ KPIs? Am I hitting them? Talking about COVID, that was one of the things we noticed. A lot of people were losing jobs. People had to lean back on side hustles. The current biggest TikTok influencer who just influenced for Meta also lost his job during COVID. And now suddenly a guy who wasn't speaking in videos is one of the highest paid influencers in the world. So imagine
Are you talking about Kabi?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
He
Kabi
did
Lane.
lose his job. Yeah, exactly. And so it's just going to be like finding that balance again, knowing what your KPIs are, knowing where your loyalties lie, and just being honest with yourself. For us at Aggressive for Good, one of the things we notice is that tech is an enabler, right? And we can't do it all. A lot of things that we can do, we can sort of give tech some jobs and say, oh, be my assistant.
Yeah.
Schedule the content before 9 o'clock. And it's going to post automatically. You know, the ways tech can really assist you in getting this done. A lot of people who lost their jobs came to us while we were doing a lot of trainings in data design, software development. And now they have jobs. There's a lady who was earning 20,000 naira selling soap. At the time, she was trying to be an entrepreneur because she was one of the people who didn't have a job at the time. And now she's earning over 200K because she learned a tech skill. So if you can't learn a tech skill to sort of help accelerate, leverage the tech tools that currently exist to help you do the work outside of work hours. But be very clear, what does my company allow? What does my company not allow? What would be fair to my company? What would be fair to me? Is there a middle ground? How can I help this company succeed? But the most important and golden rule that I would give employers out there is when you're hiring people, creators, tech people, anybody, always be sure beyond the skills, what are these people's goals? What are your company goals? Where is the middle ground? Where is that alignment? So that them working for you will be advancing their goals and careers and not just the company. Yeah.
So basically, they should align their vision and make sure their vision aligns with...
Yeah, so people don't just work for salaries because, I mean, as I said, a lot of young people are doing it for income reasons. Yeah, exactly.
So there's probably somebody out there watching us, and he or she is saying that I have a 9-to-5 job. It's footing my bills a bit, but I really want to go into a side hustle. But I'm just really scared about the unknown, you know, fear of the unknown. What would you tell that person? Would you encourage the person? Would you say stick to your job? So for that person, having that moment of doubt as to the success of that side hustle. And then for some people, it's a deal breaker. I have a friend of mine. She works for a particular company. And every single time she tells me, Hero, I want to quit my job so I can focus on this. But there's this...
security.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months if I quit my job. So would you advise somebody, as opposed to putting a side hustle alongside your normal job, and that takes away from the employer's time, should I just totally quit my job and focus on that hustle?
Okay, great. I mean, from what I know about you, you've written a book, right? And I'm guessing in some way that's like a side hustle. But it didn't affect your work here. It didn't take anything from the work that you're doing here because you give it your all. So what I would say is find time during the weekend. The time that doesn't affect, I mean, that's what side hustles are for. They're supposed to be bridges. They're there to give you a soft landing. So you don't quit and go do something. I mean, 90% of businesses fail. That's not inspiring. So you want to maybe have a soft landing, right? And just ensure you're not doing it within company's time. Ensure that if it's something you can hire other people to do for you, hire them to do for you. Ensure that it's a non-compete, that it's not competing with the work that you're doing. Because if it's competing with the work, that also affects causes wahala, you know, and they can take your company. And it's nobody's fault. It's legal and it's okay. Also do your research. What is in your contract and what is not. But if you're doing this majorly for money and not passion, consider negotiating your current salary offer. It's less stressful to have something else and you go crazy sometimes running the two. But if you could just negotiate, there are many great negotiating tips, like just knowing how you can add value to the company. Every employer just wants to know, how can you increase my revenue or how can you reduce my expenses? That's all they want to know. And so if that's what they want to know, ask yourself, how is my work contributing to either increasing revenue or reducing expenses?
But you make it sound so easy. I think I have to interject at that point in time. You say...
How hard was he writing your book?
No, because you made a statement that that's all they want to know. That's all the employer wants to know. How would you increase productivity? But let's be honest.
Productivity or revenue?
Revenue.
Yeah.
So in this climate, let's be honest. Even when you're churning out, sometimes, I can't generalize. Even when you're churning out, you're productive and you're churning out more revenue, sometimes they'll tell you, oh, we can't actually increase your salary at this point in time. So in such a situation, what should the individual do?
So you, again, be sure that you're the person who is somehow in one way or the other contributing to this increase in revenue. Not that the whole company is experiencing some sort of increase in revenue and then you want to come and attach that, oh, hi company, we've increased by 50%. Think about what was my role as part of increasing this, because you always have to have your employer's interest at heart if you really want them to see you as an ally and not an opposite, an opponent, right? So you want to make it clear that I have the company at heart. If right now I know that these are the things I need to do to help channels get a lot more visibility, I will go do that. I will do my job so well the channel gets that, right?
All right.
That's going to really help your organization or your employer see you as an ally and not an opponent.
All right. Thank you so very much. We're out of time, but I really enjoyed the interview. Thank you for coming. It's been an amazing time on Rubbin Minds, and my name is Hero Daniels. Same time, same station next week. Stay cool.